Hey Kelly, how can I help you today?
Hey Connor, how's it going? Well, today I think um, what I like to talk about is some of the feelings I'm having about living in a halfway house. Um, I don't get along with all of my roommates very well. It's difficult to live with a bunch of dudes that you don't even know, have no real connection with, and so I've had some issues with a couple of guys in the house in particular that aren't the nicest people, and that I don't really feel like are in recovery. Um, Not to
You're
be
saying that
judgmental, but
just so I know I'm getting hang of this. You're saying that you're living in the halfway house and you're having some difficulty with some of the men living in the house who aren't in recovery.
yeah, absolutely. It's an Oxford house. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Oxford houses, but basically, yeah, it's a sober living household. It's actually not chartered, but it is affiliated with Oxford, and as such, you're supposed to be people living there are supposed to be in recovery and have some semblance of a recovery type lifestyle, working on themselves, etc. Um, Things have changed a little bit because of the virus. Obviously, it's not as easy to go to meetings and whatnot, but more so, it's really, yeah, there's some negative people that really obviously don't. I'm not saying they're using or getting high, but they don't carry themselves as people in recovery, as you think people in recovery would or should. Just very negative, passive aggressive, um, and yeah, so I've had some run-ins, a little bit frustrated because of having continual run-ins over petty, small things with these fellows.
So you're feeling frustrated because these guys, they're not really committed to recovery, or it seems like they're not going to meetings, they're not working on the recovery, and that's frustrating for you.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not here to take anybody's inventory as far as like how many meetings people go to, because I don't feel the need to go to a lot of meetings at this stage in my recovery. So I'm not really tripping on that so much. It's just the way that, I think that your level of recovery is reflected in how you treat other people, and how you carry yourself. You know what I mean? I try to show everyone respect. It's a big thing for me. And
So these guys, they're carrying themselves in a way that's making you feel anxious.
yes, I was made to feel very unwelcome when I moved in. And apparently, that's been a reoccurring theme. There are a couple guys here that have been here for several years. I think one of them 4 years, which I kind of don't get because this is supposed to be like a transitional house, hence the term halfway house. It's a transition, So after a while, I think the expectation is to move on once you get your shit together, that hasn't been the case here. I think there are a couple guys that are stagnating for sure, and apparently, according to someone else that's been here for a while that I do get along with, he said that he's seen that behavior in these guys directed towards newcomers, and it's been going on for quite a bit, and they tend to force people out. Um, yeah, I feel like very nitpicky and very passive aggressive, and there have been some out and out, very intense confrontations. I've had to, basically establish like, healthy boundaries, but I've caught myself coming really close to losing my temper, and I don't like to be put in that position. So yeah,
You're
there's some
saying
frustration.
that you've attempted to make these healthy boundaries, but those boundaries are not always respected, and that's causing you to have these run-ins, these kind of confrontations.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been pretty bad, pretty ugly on several occasions. And I have to be really careful because I have a pretty bad temper, and I don't like that part of me to come out. It's not very common. I'm coming up on 4 years sober, and I've made a lot of changes in my life, and I'm proud of the work that I've put in. I feel like I'm a better person today. And I don't like being brought back to like the ugliness that I feel, and the stress, and the tension that I feel from getting worked up and feeling defensive and having, feel threatened.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah,
So
it's
you're not
that's
only feeling frustrated, but you're also feeling irritated.
big time. Yeah, big time, totally. So so I have started to look into getting my own place. And I should back up and say that I'm also a little bit resentful, I think, because I was told that I had to live in a halfway house type situation
You're
when I
feeling
already
resentful.
totally towards the government, because I clearly demonstrated before I was extradited and brought back to Oregon from Maryland that I'd already completely changed every facet of my life. I had my own place, a job, and a career, and a girlfriend that I lived with, and I was uprooted and brought out here. And I feel like I've been forced to move backwards, sort of, and by being told I had to live in a halfway house. I feel like I've already clearly demonstrated that I can be a, a member of society, a positive person in society. I don't really feel like I need to be in a structured environment like this. There's definitely
So
some
you're
resentment.
feeling resentful because your need for respect and also your need for acceptance are not being met
Yeah,
even by even by the government.
yeah, big time. Yeah, yeah. And my need for privacy as well. It's difficult living with, I think there's 6 other guys here. It's a big house. It's actually a nice house, but it's hard to share space with 6 other people. The bathroom and the weight room and the kitchen and all that. It's just it can be, especially when you're not getting along with all of them. It makes for some really uncomfortable silences, or uncomfortable situations. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's a lot going on there, but for sure.
Yeah, you're saying, you have a temper and you've come a long way in improving yourself and you feel uncomfortable when, these people that you live with kind of test your boundaries and bring you back to that temper that you've worked so hard on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I actually almost feel like there have been times when one of the things that'll get you kicked out of here is getting into a physical confrontation with anyone. Using is the big one, and then fighting or anything like that will get you kicked out immediately. I almost feel like I've been prodded and poked like into losing my shit, and it hasn't happened, but it's come real close. And yeah, I don't appreciate that, because I'm a peaceful person by nature, and it takes a lot to get me into the red like that. And but yeah, I feel like but I did establish a healthy boundary. I have put my foot down, and I had to, speak to these guys in a house meeting about a month ago, and things have gotten a little bit better. Um, but definitely, I feel like if it was up to them, they would kick me out of here in a heartbeat if they could. So yeah, it's a pretty uncomfortable situation to be in.
So you're feeling somewhat reassured that you've been able to communicate this stuff to your housemates, but you're still feeling irritated and a little bit disheartened that you're still in this position.
Absolutely, yes, yeah. Yep. So I'm actively looking for another place and keeping my feelers out, but it's difficult because because of my record. I know I've alluded to this in the past, but because of my record, it's difficult in doing background checks, and so yeah, I'm starting to look at places, but most of the places that I have found that I would prefer to live in want or require a background check. So I feel kind of stuck
So
in
you're feeling
between this place.
stuck,
Yeah, frustrated for sure. Feeling stuck and frustrated.
and you're feeling stuck and you're feeling stressed out.
Yeah, definitely anxious, stressed out for sure. I'm ready. I had the money to move forward into another place, but it's just a matter. I don't want to make the move unless it's the right place, someplace closer to my work. I commute from Gresham to Beaverton just about every day, and it's a half hour each way at least. So that gets kind of old. So I'm looking for a place on the west side. So I need to find a place on the west side, some place where I feel safe, where people aren't using. If I have to get a roommate, I want to make sure there's a lot of different things that I want to make sure are taken care of before I make decision before I make that move. So there's a lot going on there for sure.
So you mentioned a couple times safety and privacy, and it sounds like
Mhm.
you're saying you're frustrated and anxious because your needs for privacy and for safety are not being met in your current living situation.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, you're spot on. Um, yeah, my needs for privacy are definitely not being met, and I can't wait to get out of here and at the very least just have like one or two roommates, maybe. Six is kind of extreme. So yeah, absolutely. So that's definitely something I look forward to, finding a place with more space where I can be have more privacy for sure. Yeah.
Cool. So just to summarize what we've talked about today, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling frustrated, you're feeling a little bit resentful because your housemates are not really respecting your needs for privacy and for safety. And you're trying to find a new place. And that has also been difficult because, people, uh, they only see the criminal record and they're unable to accept you for who you are. And that's been challenging for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Great.
Thanks.
Well, thank you for sharing.
No, thank you, Connor. You've been very helpful. I appreciate it. See you next time.
Yeah.